Welcome back to the show. Now, at a time when working life's getting faster and more complex, everyone needs to clear the mind and develop focus. It's an absolute must for high-performance work environments. The words of Elizabeth Broderick, just one executive, singing the praises of this book here in my hot little hand, Mental Resilience, The Power of Clarity. It's published by the Warrior Monk Group, which is pretty apt when you consider that the subtitle is How to Develop the Focus of a Warrior and the Peace of a Monk. Now, it's taken Kamal Sarma 4 years to write, inspired in part by a near-death in-flight experience. To talk more on that and plenty more besides, Kamal joins me now in the studio. Kamal, let's just face that one head on first off. It was a chilling reference in the book to an in-flight, interstate flight in the United States. Just tell me at that moment, as the plane was losing its luggage from the overhead compartments, how you actually brought this to bear, or this was one of the triggers for the whole book.
Sure. Well, I was thinking about my life, and I was thinking about, well, what am I proud of? I was thinking about, my relationship with my wife, my parents, everything, and I thought, there's something that I really haven't given, and that was the journey that I had around mental resilience, my life as a monk, then become a venture capitalist, and not too many people make that transition. Mm-hmm. So I really wanted to make sure that I gave something to my kids, really, that they knew that whenever they had a challenge in their life, they could look inwards to find something, some guidance. Many of us look outwards, and really that that idea of looking inside us to find something deep. Yeah,
there's a very nice personal reference, love dad, at the end of it to your daughter certainly and wife there. Just explain that journey, because it's intriguing the way you're born and then you're back to India,
right?
In your sort of teen years where things really start to come to a head. How did you sort of rebel and sort of find someone who was actually pretty compelling? So that was almost locked in your mind from an early age to recall in the future. Tell me about that.
So I feel very blessed by having the experiences that I did. So I came to Australia when I was 4 years old. I studied really hard till I was year 10. I was 10 years old. Then I discovered a game called rugby union. Loved it. And I started chasing too many girls.
Right.
And so my parents thought it might be a good idea for me to go back to be a monk in India. So they sent me back to be a monk. I hated it. Bad timing. So I was there for about 5 to 6 years. But there, I didn't like the monastery, but I did find a teacher in yoga and meditation who taught me amazing stuff. And he taught me for about 6 years, and he didn't charge me a cent.
Because you used to go off wandering in the hills, trekking to sort of as an outlet for all this kind of the testosterone.
That's right. Well, I was severely angry. From leaving Australia. Like one day, meat pies, girls, union. The next day, waking up in a monastery, say hello. So I really wanted to connect with something, and so that's why I saw this yogi doing all these amazing things, and I thought, you know what? If I learn how to do that stuff, I'll be able to impress the girls. Mm-hmm. And so that's how my real journey, my spiritual journey, started.
Back to Australia.
Yep.
Joining McKinsey's very early on, completely different environment. That sort of 7 till 11 work environment.
Yes.
It had no sort of resilience though for you at that point. You weren't tapping it even then. You were just on the career ladder. It was put to one side for a while.
So what happens is that you keep on chasing the next carrot. So when you're an analyst, you chase the consultant, you chase the partnership, you chase the director, and you just get really into that whole mold rather than really thinking, well, what do I really want? Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of people live residual lives. They wake up wondering, how the heck did I get here? And so I really forgot what it means to be still, what it means to have that mental stillness.
There was kind of one catalyst, though, wasn't it? This is very personal. It was tragic. This was your first daughter.
Yes.
A premature birth, and the loss of that really brought you to the edge. So at that point, how do you handle it?
So what happened is when my daughter passed away, I went through a really bad depression and grief, and I could have easily become a drug addict or an alcoholic or something just to deal with the pain. Nobody teaches you how to deal with that pain. Mm. And so one day I was about to really take some drugs, and I thought maybe I should try and all the meditation stuff that I learned back with my master, and that was the real tipping point. Mm. And I'm so glad that I had those tools in my toolkit to come back to. But I couldn't sit still for 30 seconds.
Well, that's the challenge, because this is arguably about carving out time in a very busy schedule. But you say, on the other hand, look, we make time for the gym. We do find time for things that we want to find time for.
Yep.
So in that respect, practically, what is an approach to follow from all of this? Just walk me through how you do it.
Okay.
each day.
Yeah. So you can't just come in from work and go, boom, I'm just going to be absolutely still. That doesn't work. Like, we warm up to do exercise. We warm up before we do something. The same way, you need to get your mind ready to be still. So the first thing I teach is just to be physically still. Think about it. How many people are physically still? You're not physically still when you're in bed, are you? Have you gone into meetings and somebody's, continually flipping the pen or shaking that leg? If we saw a dog or a horse continually shaking their leg, we'd probably shoot it.
You use the bed analogy. Sorry, RSPCA. You use the bed analogy. Don't you say, though, set about doing this in bed or lying on the bed, because you probably drift off.
Yes,
right? You've got to be upright to do this properly.
Yeah.
And seated well.
Yeah.
Okay, so it can be in the lounge room, it can be at the desk. Any optimal position for that? It's all about posture.
Sure, yeah. The first step is lying down, so being physically still lying down. Then once you've mastered just being physically still, then you sit up and then you start to still your mind. But you need to still the body first. You can't still the mind without stilling the body. And that's where we go into meditation position. And that is a posture that gives you a sense of centeredness. And that's how you start your journey.
Turn off the phone when you're doing all of this. You don't want any interruptions.
That's right. That's right. And most people struggle to do that because we're not designed for Blackberries. We're not designed for 24/7 emails. So just to sit down and shut up to a certain degree, to shut the mind.
Is this something that you should be doing at the start of every day rather than sort of leaving it till you're home and tired? I mean, because it is a setup for your day. So optimally, first thing when you wake up, or can it be sort of at any time during the day?
What I suggest is that you do it when you get up, just to prepare yourself for the day, to have that mental clarity. So most people are paid to make decisions, but they don't have the mental clarity to make those decisions. Mm-hmm. So the first step, you need to get that mental clarity to make those decisions. Then at the end of the day, so many people I talk to have a lot of angst, and they bring that home from the work environment. You don't want to be doing that because that creates a very destructive climate within the household. Mm-hmm. Then you need to be able to shut down your mind and then restart it again, so that you come back as the father or the partner or the mother or whatever, to make sure you can make an impact.
And you're not getting rid of these problems. I mean, you use the analogy of the glass of water with some dirt in it. You know, to begin with, it clouds the water.
Right.
Stir it around, and you don't have that clarity, but it will eventually settle.
Yes.
But it is still there. You're not pretending you're going to absolutely alleviate the problem.
Correct. This doesn't make the issues go away, but what it does, it gives you the power to really make a decision based on your values. What most people are doing are making a decision based on the clutter that's wandering around in their mind.
How long optimally does this take? I mean, what's the minimum time period spent? Because things like yoga, you've got to take an hour, 2 hours to sort of prepare, go through, unwind. I mean, compare it with this.
I suggest you can start with 5 minutes. Try sitting still for 5 minutes and just focusing on your breath. That is powerful. I suggest a 20 minute to really get into the whole scheme of things. And it's amazing how quickly you start to develop a really powerful practice.
I want to bring this discussion into the realms of management now, because you distinguish clearly between managers and leaders who are following one route and another versus employing some of this and really getting a nice balance of the two. How is that possible?
Sure. What happens is that you go from a technical expert to management to leadership, and what people do is you earn the right to be a technical expert. You earn the right to manage. But the locus of control changes with leadership. People choose to be led by you. Why should people be led by you? Most people don't understand that, and it's through clarity. I think management is about doing it right, and leadership is about doing the right things. And you can only do those things if you've got that clarity.
The certainty.
That certainty. Yeah. And so what most people do is they create that certainty from outside themselves. I call it either chocoholic, workaholic, or alcoholic.
Yeah.
Now, if you're creating that certainty from outside yourself, you're really not leading yourself. What meditation is about, what mental clarity is about, is creating that sense of certainty. So no matter how much disturbance you're finding outside, you create that certainty from inside yourself.